perspective of being the only council person that's sitting up there who ever supervised a county department. So I want to take you on a little journey to the last time we had 3 county commissioners. And during that time, I was the Chief of Operations for Special Services and Maintenance. I see Director Rolzak, he was in charge of the other end of that department. These commissioners were faced with the same situation. They chose to take the road of, we're going to lay people off. We're going to not raise the taxes. We're going to do, what you, the public, wants. But sometimes when people don't understand the truth, and they don't understand what's at stake here, it gets worse. So let me tell you what happened there. The roads, I can remember, in fact, the president of the director of the Parks Chairmanship, Mr. Futilis, had just announced a $15 million completion of North Park. During the 90s, my heavy equipment supervisor came to me and said, if they would just give us the thousands of dollars that we need to fix the dredge boats so that we could dredge that lake, we can save it. But it fell on deaf ears because you, the public, said no. So what cost a few $1,000s, and I hear people always talk about mortgaging our children's future. Just as we said back in the 90s, $15 million to fix what they wouldn't give us. I can remember when they cut the type of salt, the type of blades that we did. In the first ice storm we had, all the trucks were stuck on the side of the road because the cheap salt that they bought us wouldn't go through the augers. And I can remember the phone calls that night. Let me tell you something. You love somebody and they're not home and you're in an ice storm, you'd pay anything. I could just sit here and tell you the numerous things. The grass was 3 feet high at the wave pools because they fired all the guys in the parks that did the work. I had iron workers who were cutting grass. The bridges, I had people on those bridges trying to patch them, or if you leaned over a railing on some of them, you would have fell in the river. That's what happened. And then it got worse. You, the public, became so angry at what happened that not only did you throw the 3 of those commissioners out of office, you never allowed the 3 of them, after numerous attempts to run for office again, the chance to ever be elected. That's how angry you were. Because of what happened. Because for every action, there's a reaction. Not only, and that wasn't enough. We're here because of that. You changed the form of government, that's how mad you were. You did want to pay a couple dollars to do the right thing, which now costs millions of dollars, but today, you got rid of the form of government, so here we are again. So let me tell you something, and I'm telling you this from my experience, and I don't have it, and anybody will tell you, in fact, the only Democrat, I've always been a renegade Democrat. The only one who's never given up on me is Councilman Finnerty and Councilman DeFazio. The thing is that maybe I'll come around, but, I speak my mind. I'm not looking to run for anything else, and when I ran for this, I did this because I was just one of them regular guys sitting there saying, you know what, if I ever get an opportunity to sit here, I'm going to do what the right thing is. You talk about, I knew someday I'd get a chance to use my economics degree. For every action, there's a reaction. You don't want to take care of these children and give them something to do? Well, guess what? When you're paying twice as much for the police officers, and twice as much to put them in those prisons down there, that's what happens to those kids. I didn't grow up in a nice, ritzy neighborhood. My dad was a cop, and I grew up in a half a double, and I grew up a street kid in Lawrence. So I can tell you what happens to those kids that don't have nothing to do. They end up incarcerated. They end up in worse. They end up the dregs of society. It's unthinkable to me to not have these children who are going to be the successes to us. I'm a working guy. I'll take it. Councilman Martoni and Councilman Robinson are huge cheerleaders at community college. I took advantage of that. I couldn't afford to send my kids. I work 2 jobs. Believe it or not, I don't just sit up here and wear a suit every day. But the point of the matter is, I was able to send My one daughter just graduated from Chatham College because she had an opportunity that I could afford for her to go to community college. And because of the fine education that those folks give over there, she transferred to Chatham College and graduated in the top of her class, which could have never happened if not for that. There are so many services that you folks don't realize you take advantage of. How many of you out there have parents and aunts and uncles? Did you know that this is the second oldest county in the entire United States? And you want to say to them that we don't have services for you? I'm not going to be part of that. And I'm not going to be part of this scene with the children. And more importantly, which I'm more familiar with than anything, is public safety. I will not compromise the safety of the people of this county. And I know everybody up here has the right heart about this thing. Some of us have different approaches. My experience has been a lot different than a lot of people because I lived it. I saw what could happen. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen again. If this money does not pass, I can tell you that you, the public, are mad right now, but what's going to happen after, you're not going to like it. Because I can tell you from personal experience, these departments are cut to the bone. So I say to you, and I've never voted for a tax increase, I will not sit here and watch this county go in the tank again, as I saw those 3 commissioners did to this county. And like I said, you never heard them win another thing again. Not because of anything we all did, but because you, the public, rolled up and said, this is unacceptable. And I can tell you right now, this budget is unacceptable as it is. And the right thing to do is to make sure that the public is safe, particularly with winter coming, that these children have an opportunity to grow up and be somebody.